Hello, my friends, and welcome back. The next article that I would like to discuss today or this evening has to do with the request from United Nations addressed to Vladimir Putin, asking, begging uh, to stop the blockade in the Black Sea of the shipments of grain to the world. It's a very there is a this request has a lot of pathos, but doesn't have a lot of logos. So let's read what this gentleman wants. Right. So this article is from Reuters from May 19th, 2022. Moscow says opening Ukraine ports would need review of sanctions on Russia. So Moscow said on Thursday that sanctions on Russia would have to be reviewed if it were to heed a UN appeal to open access to Ukraine's Black Sea ports so that grain could be exported, according to an Interfax news agency report. Makes sense. You want concessions? Make some concessions. Ukraine, one of the world's biggest grain producers, uses used to export most of its goods through its seaports, but since Russia sent troops into Ukraine, it has been forced to export by train or via its small Danube River ports. UN Food Chief David Beasley appealed on Wednesday to Russia President Vladimir Putin, saying, "Pay attention. If you have any heart at all, please open these ports." Well, that's very nice, but that's a little bit tricky. If you have a little heart, lift those sanctions. How about that? Or if you have some heart there, Mr. Bisley, whatever your name is, why don't you make the other side lift their sanctions? Oh, the world is starving. Well, Russians are starving too. So have them lift that sanctions, and I could lift that too. Now, obviously, it could be said, well, you invaded Ukraine, so it's your fault. And the Russians could answer this way. Well, the Ukrainians were killing Russian people who were living in Ukraine and were Ukrainian citizens. Well, they tried to break away. Well, why did they try to break away and declare independence? It's because the coup that was organized by outside forces in 2014. Is that why? And they said don't recognize the current administration that took control of our country by force with foreign intervention. Is that what it is? So you see, the ball always goes in the initiators, and the initiators are those guys. And I say, okay, no problem. Why didn't they comply with the paperwork that they signed during the Minsk agreements? They waited from what 7, 8 years to implement them. Where are the guarantors? Hey, Great Britain. Hey, France, Germany. Oh, they're hiding because they didn't put any pressure on their buddy, whoever was in power at that time, and then Zelensky to implement the Minsk protocols, or agreements. You see how things go? They always go on those guys. And these guys, like, they reacted. I could be accused. Oh my God, you're a this apologist. I know name calling is very easy. It's the easiest and shallowest way of conducting a debate. It's harder to use your brain and bring evidence and use logic, but nevertheless, I really don't care because what I'm saying, I know that's factual. So yes, you overthrew a government. That's where everything broke. As the Russian government said, we do not recognize the new government in Kiev. After that, illegal, military, violent, with outside forces involved, overthrow of a democratically corrupt, maybe like the current one. elected government. So that's where the whole thing started, to be illegal right there. And then everything that was discussed and talked about and signed, and no, these guys did not follow. Now, I know that the Russians are not clear as the crystal as well. I know they had their interference in the Donbass, Lugansk regions. I know they have that. I mean, I don't know if they had armies over there, but certainly they had personnel who probably helped with intelligence and conducting the secession, if you want to call it this way. Nevertheless, let's go back here with the ports. There is this war. It's conducted in multiple fronts. It's in the military front, it's the political, it's in mass media, and it's an economic front. So we're talking about here the economic front. The first who imposed sanctions on who were the people who were not even part of the fight. That was the European Union and primarily United States. So they felt necessary that they will have to impose sanctions on Russia. So put it this way, nothing to do with them. You talked about international order. Okay. Well, international law, international order, the Minsk agreements were international law because it was signed and it's a UN. That's one thing. The second one, if it's about international order, international law, we just have to look back about 20 some years ago in Yugoslavia, where international law was violated by the same people who now they say, oh my God, we should follow it. Oh, by the way, in Iraq war, again, it was a violation of international law. Oh, the killing of that gentleman, or that leader, maybe it's a better word, in Libya. Who gave NATO the right to go and intervene over there? This defensive alliance. So you see, these people that now they pretend to be the defenders of justice and uh, international law and all these things, they have their own dark sides. Not long time ago. Okay, only a person with a very shallow memory can't remember those or analyze them the way they are. Even the intervention on Afghanistan was another thing that Afghanistan had nothing to do with what these guys were pretending, but that's a different story. Afghanistan had its own faults, all sins, according to their country, who said these guys have to go over there and do what they did. So you see, if you go by that, every corner you find the same individuals. Unfortunately, unfortunately. So yes, the economic war started with the sanctions, and then the Russians. What are they supposed to be fighting with one arm behind their back like this? What are they supposed to do? I mean, you sanction me, I have my nation. You gonna affect my nation. So what am I supposed to do? Care about your nation? And why is that? Oh, because you're just narcissistic. Oh, that's a different story then. All right. So yes, the Russians will not do that unless these guys do that. Yes, it's negotiation and it's based on power. Because if the other side will have the power, they will not ask this. They will just go straight and destroy the fleet in the Black Sea or the submarines or whatever they have over there, and they will just open the blockade. But they don't do that because they have a proxy war. They don't go straight face to face. They use the Ukrainians to die, to fight, and so on. And they just stay outside and impose sanctions and pull the strings. So yeah, I think that was a logical answer coming from the Russians to that. Please, if you have a little bit of heart. What about the other ones? They cast the first stone. They threw the first stone, if you want to take it that way. And I told you, if you go back, they threw the first stone. 2014 started everything. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.